you. Nothing out there can compare to truth. This emptiness experiment was all so cruel. Ego's been left behind now, so it reminds me to unwind. Such a dance, this true romance, a different kind of love. I am updated, interrelated, the anticipated rendezvous. There are no highs and there are no lows on this spinning top. That's just how it goes. Let's go start jumping to be told. I am so glad I am in love with you. Over the years, love has always been here, feeling sincere, loud and clear, not far but near, close as my breath. Love's never left on a musical scale, and I can't exhale. I am so glad to love you, even though it's only myself. I am beingness, beingness is the truth. Goddess of love says I do. Oh yeah, I am so glad to be in love with you. Nothing out there can compare to truth. This emptiness experience was all so cruel. Ego's been left behind. Now so reminds me to unwind. I am one of a kind. Such a dance is true romance, a different kind of love. I am updated, interrelated, the anticipated rendezvous. 'Cause there are no highs and there are no lows on the spinning top. That's just how it goes. And let's go start jumping till be told. I am so glad I am in love with you. Over the years, your love's always been here. Now far but near, close as my breath.
Hey you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You have to check out Peloton's offer on the
Alchemy Gold, called Solar Alchemy, the gold mine standard. Gold in alchemy was the goal of the process, the transmutation of base metals into gold. Gold at that time was considered the most precious of all metals, but now it is platinum. In many cultures, it is the sun that is associated with or represents gold. Alchemists took the motto, Aurum Nostrum Non Est Aurum Voci, which means our gold is not the gold of the masses. This suggests an alchemist is not seeking the precious metal, but esoteric gnosis. Even in Orthodox Christianity, gold symbolizes the perfection and light of heaven. At times, gold was regarded as embodying powers of earth, and although having no intrinsic value, it was mainly associated with supernatural powers and the powers of the gods. The Aztec thought gold was divine excrement. Aztecs, no pun intended. Maya associated gold as the new skin of the earth at the start of the spring rains before it greens again. Gold was used to produce sacred artifacts and symbols, such as crowns of royalty, and most notably, the mask of King Tut, the most famous representation of the gold mine standard. The physical goal of the alchemist was the transmutation of gold from base metals such as lead and copper. This was the panacea, the elixir of life. However, the spiritual goal was rebirth of solar light from the darkness of the ego. To an alchemist, transcendence represented the healing gnosis and the deliverance of the rightful heirs from the corruption of the lower mind. The higher mind, or inner knowledge, was trapped within the fabricated matrix of beliefs, ignorance, and miseducation. Since gold, either physical or spiritual, was the goal of alchemy, it was synonymous with the philosopher's stone. Yet very few understood the solar nature within the DNA of the righteous heirs. In alchemy, aligned as it is with nature, is an expression of being, non-being, and rebirth turned lost or death of something else, ego death, and resurrection, singularity, are central themes of alchemical thinking. When one is existing in a state of enlightenment, the gold mine standard, one is the embodiment of soul, reflecting singularity. One is one. And this renewed mind is the ultimate state of transformation, the goal of solar alchemy. The celestial body of transfiguration is represented by gold, an element once buried in the chemical carbon, once unearthed and refined, is a highly accepted representation of perfection and purity. In the mundane mind, gold is seen as a symbol of wealth, prosperity, and authority. Yet, material gold has no emotions or sensations that can aid in one's healing, protection, growth, or knowledge. Gold, as utilized by the physically minded, is the expression of the golden calf as idolatry. The metaphysical meaning of the golden calf represents the tendency of the mind to form images after the patterns seen with the eyes rather than from the truth, which rises in silent meditation. Going up the mountain, expressed in Exodus 32, verse 1 through 8, represents the exalted state of mind necessary to receive sublime inspiration. By one's denying all thinking and thinking of the ego through the surrender of the lesser mind and turning one's attention toward the inner reality, one reaches the mount or state of exaltation. Aaron represents the ruling power of the intellectual conscious. The making of the golden calf represents the idols made by the mind, who perceives the truth but does not carry into execution the spiritual ideals, choosing instead a lower plane of consciousness in which to function one's thinking. Matthew chapter 6 verse 24. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one, ego, and love the other, truth, or you will be devoted to the one, soul, and despise the other, fabrication. Jesus, or truth, says that a person cannot serve two conflicting interests or loyalties at the same time. This saying is used to emphasize reality versus ego and one's need for prioritizing one's commitments and loyalty to a single cause, love, beingness, the only authority. In consciousness, the jewels from the ears represent right hearing and obedience and receptivity to the gold mind standard. Moses going up into the mountain represents one's entering into this high exalted state of mind that must be reached before one can receive guidance from the first principle of consciousness, I am, or Buddha, Holy Spirit, Gnosis, etc. This state is necessary to solar development beyond the spiritual, mental planes of worship and otherness. This is the process that leads one away from truth, where impulses that are unable to enter into the exalted state seek and find a lower outlet, namely in the making of the molten calf. The giving to Aaron the intellect, the jewels of the ears, means it is the intellect which is the ascendant, and that the natural mind has gained power to express, while truth has been suppressed. The gold mind standard is the height of consciousness and is the realm of intelligence, Gnosis, the goddess of love. where the intellect is to the demiurge or the demigod, which places one's ego on equal footing with truth. This is a corruption of sublime thought, beingness, and aspirations. I am. When one puts faith in the fabricated matrix, and by refusing to recognize and acknowledge the light of love, one subjugates the spiritual level of reality, because idolatry deals with the realm of forms and with what is seen, and to the immature mind, seeing is believing. Tangible images such as subscribers, likes, and views appeal to the mind that is lacking in spiritual development more strongly than the truth. Beingness, the only presence. In the text, the character of Moses reveals his great love for Jehovah, his conscience, and also his people, his thinking and thinking. Moses here represents the evolving spiritual conscious, which perceives truth but dimly, yet is steadfast in it. The eagle is the source for any worshippers of the golden calf, money, relationships, all fabricated things. The lover of truth is one who has become a great nation, which means has come into full realization of one's solar nature, which is beyond spiritual due to it be spiritual still being within the realm of mind, even though higher, but nonetheless must be transfigured into the solar or state of wholeness. This is the core of alchemy, the perfection of all matter. Gold is one of the 7 metals of alchemy and represented the perfecting of matter on any level, including that of mind, elemental, and spirit. The symbol of gold is used in astrology and is represented by the sun, which is still a lower form of the solar nature. Solar alchemy, then, is an ancient philosophy that uses the metaphor of enlightenment as the achieved contentment, harmony, and actualization, which liberates one's essence from one's acquired personality or the artificial character. The personality contains the inauthentic parts of the self, including one's habits, beliefs, opinions, wounds, fears, and phobias. In this way, transmuting of lead into gold functions as a metaphor for the process of soul actualization and the realization of singularity or rebirth. The beginning processes are termed spiritual alchemy. Calcination is the first stage, also known as the black stage. The color black represents chaos, that which is hidden and buried, the unconscious. It also represents materia prima, which is the idea in occult sciences that all matter in the universe emerged from an original primitive base, Draco. And what would bringing in this new day or presence be without light? I am honored Draco is here, co-hosting with Beingness and Kissing. The gold mask. This is a momentous and a great honor, especially because Draco's purifying flame. Calcination refers to the burning of the materia prima until it is transformed into ash. Beauty for ashes. In the spiritual sense, it refers to the breaking with worldly attachments, the desire for status, wealth, and the need to solidify one's identity. But according to the process, the development to higher levels of consciousness and her refinement is hindered by these attachments. Calcination refers to burning off all superfluous elements of what no longer serves one. Fire purges, and the hard and dead parts must be burned away by the flame of truth. Preconceived notions about identity and beliefs are put to the test at this level, termed dark night of the soul, which seeks unification with singularity. Here the former worldview is dismantled and one goes through a kind of existential crisis. The beginning of spiritual development is typically arduous because former ties of identification are no longer valid and one comes face to face with the void, fabricated reality. Stage 2, dissolution. This stage involves dissolving the ashes in water. Water has been interpreted as a symbol for the unconscious, which contains the hidden parts of which one is afraid of and up until now have not been explored. Dissolution may be understood as the stage in which one is freed from the inauthentic and acquired sense of identity. In chemistry, dissolution refers to the dissolving of solid material, such as salt dissolved in water. This is understood as the dissolution of the ego. Since the dissolution stage takes water as its symbol, it is also associated with intense emotions, as water symbolizes the reservoir of emotions contained within. The dissolution stage involves the outlet of repressed emotions from traumatic events that have been pushed down in the psyche. This is a very cathartic step as one frees these past painful experiences. Stage 3, separation. Here, the purest essence is extracted from the rest of the mixture. Since the first two stages are associated with fire and water, separation is related to the air element. In a spiritual sense, it is understood as separation from habitual thinking and thinking processes or emotional trigger responses in order to step back and distinguish truth essence from the fictionally acquired personality. This is a very liberating stage where one is freed of resentments due to ignorance and otherness. One is liberated from negative emotions. By doing this, one becomes aware of true feelings. When one separates from the inauthentic self, one is a step closer to the essential or higher mind. This separation occurs when one no longer identifies with the character one has been playing, but became the realization, I am. Awareness of one's own thinking and thinking, feelings, desires, but without identifying with them or being attached through them, one is then ready to surrender and separate. This separation is like detaching from one's old skin. After the emptiness and suffering in the first stage of calcination, then the fearful stage of dissolution, where the hidden and shadows emerge, the separation stage comes as a welcomed relief, as one experiences the stillness of being free from the inferior and inauthentic qualities. Stage 4 is conjunction. Conjunction refers to the process of combining the elements from the 3 prior stages. What remains within is that which is of value. Then one begins to combine these elements to form the authentic truth, I am. After the first 3 stages of purification by fire, water, and air, the disparate elements are brought together under the earth element to begin a process of embodiment as the unified spirit begins her process of materialization. Here is the concept of oneness, unified in body and singularity, join together the different strands of one's truth nature. This is expressed in Tantra. But one is still not finished. Polarities and opposites cease their conflict and are reunited. Dualities such as male, female, body, soul, spirit, matter are all balanced and harmonized into the different elements of being. The attributes associated with the feminine, such as intuition and emotion, unified with intelligence, and rightful heirs, goddess of love, kissing. Stage 5 is putrefaction and fermentation, and is describing the decay of the old mind and rebirth of one's truth nature. Within the first 4 stages, discarding the old, inauthentic elements from within. Within the first 4 stages, discarding the old, inauthentic and drawing together authentic elements from within. At this stage, one catches a glimpse of the more refined, authentic self. Here is where the analogy of the phoenix rising from the ashes originates. This process is split between 2, putrefaction and spiritualization. Putrefaction is the rolling away of the former identities and beliefs are let go. This is difficult and may involve strong feelings of depression and despair, since one fears losing the identity which one is so intimately associated with. Meanwhile, spiritualization gives great relief, as one begins to see a world in a new and illuminescent way. Letting go of old wound mates and frenemies and all that kept the mind in limitations are released. And as a result, this step ushers in the blissful feeling of inner peace and contentment. Stage 6 is distillation and is where all the impurities are removed and there is only essence. In chemistry, distillation involves boiling and condensation to separate components, commonly used in desalination. A liquid boiled until it evaporates, and as the steam condenses, the essence is liberated from the matter. It marks the point which essence is solarized. Distillation is a metaphor for the actualization. Beingness. This stage illuminates the shade which once covered the light of love. It is distillation of truth and represents the first principle of consciousness as the core identity, I am, freed from every inferior element. At this stage, ego has ceased its dominating behavior and the voice is clearly heard from singularity. It also marks the point at which conscious, unconscious are raised into harmony. Stage 7, coagulation. The final stage describes the process of solidification, where the one essential being becomes whole, wholeness, holiness. Coagulation refers to the process by which liquid, typically blood, solidifies. It occurs when one is cut in order to form the scab. In solar alchemy, coagulation involves the solidification. Truth, beingness. Beingness represents the absolute healing from all impurities and imperfections. Coagulation involves the complete unification of otherness and is the soul, or only. In this final stage, beingness emerges and she is likened to the point where the gold cools and solidifies. Beingness is the perfected state of consciousness. Once deemed the sublime secret, now made manifest, she is the most powerful alchemy. Beingness is the flame alchemy, the most powerful form of alchemy. In the mundane, alchemy became illegal because rulers were afraid of undermining the gold standard, of corrupting the gold supply. There is always fear associated with ego. Beingness, love unlimited, the gold standard, and now, O holy night, beingness, the sacred light, as the goddess of love, kissing, shines so bright above. Becky and Newt have already packed up the old mind and ready to welcome the renewed mind, holiness. Packed up is our stress, fear, and control. The new year, or mind, renewed mind, is filled with trust, surrender, and devotion. The art of surrender is literally that, the throwing up of the white flag that says love has won the battle. One's faith is turned toward truth, and not one's own will, but thy will be done. The oars are packed up and put away because one no longer is paddling upstream against the spiritual and solar currents. It has been said the most important decision made is whether one trusts the universe as friend or foe. I am a friend to beingness, pure existence. And with that being one's only thought, one is going with the galactic flow. That energy is magnificent. One is still a work in progress, but allowing beingness to become my new habit instead of one's old addictions of being guided by eyes and thinking. Buddha's teaching says one will not find happiness through clinging to the past and common and ordinary. They will only find suffering. Teaching oneself surrender is being a Buddha. Mahalo, Mahaloa, Mahamayuri, Mahasanti, Mahaplatinum, Platisara.